It was supposed to be just another ordinary Thursday. I had left my phone at home, missed the last bus out of town, and was stuck at a gas station off Route 17 as the sun dipped below the horizon. I was tired, annoyed, and a little bit scared. My name's Melissa Carter, and until that evening, I never thought I'd willingly step into a stranger's truck. But that's exactly what I did, and we never even drove. I had gone into town that morning to attend a job interview. I had dreams of moving out of my tiny hometown and starting over. But after the interview was rescheduled without notice, I found myself stranded. I checked my watch. It was nearly 7 p.m., and the sky was turning deep orange with streaks of crimson. The buses had stopped running, and I didn't have a phone or charger. There wasn't a cab in sight. The gas station attendant, a guy named Hank, had been kind enough to let me sit inside for a while, but he was closing up for the night. "You sure you don't want me to call someone?" he asked. I smiled and shook my head. "No one to call. I just need to figure something out." He gave me a pitiful look before locking the door behind him and heading out. I sat on the curb, hugging my backpack tightly. That's when the rumble of a diesel engine caught my attention. A large, black pickup truck rolled in slowly and parked beside the vending machines. The door creaked open, and a man stepped out, tall, in his late 30s maybe, with a flannel shirt, faded jeans, and a look that was more curious than threatening. He noticed me right away. "Everything okay, miss?" he asked with a southern drawl. I hesitated. I missed my bus. Just trying to figure out how to get home. He nodded slowly, then pointed to the truck. "If you need a ride, I'm heading through the next couple towns. Could drop you close." Now every part of me screamed not to do it. You don't get into strangers' trucks. Everyone knows that. But there was something in his voice. Not charm, not pressure, just quiet understanding. Still, I didn't move. "Name's Josh," he added, sensing my hesitation. "Josh Whitman. I've got sisters. I'd want someone to help them if they were stuck." I blinked, still unsure. He walked to the passenger door, opened it, and stood back. "You don't have to. Just offering." After a long moment, I stood and walked toward the truck. Something in me, whether instinct or desperation, told me this was okay. I climbed in slowly, clutching my bag. Josh shut the door gently and walked around to the driver's side. But then he didn't start the engine. Instead, he reached into the glove box and pulled out a small plastic bag of trail mix. "Hungry?" he asked. I hadn't eaten since noon. I nodded, and he handed it over. We sat there in silence for a few minutes, the dusk settling around us like a thick blanket. I watched the stars begin to appear through the windshield. He leaned back in his seat, arms behind his head. "Didn't mean to spook you. Just thought it might be better than sitting out here alone." I studied his profile. He looked calm, patient. There was no sense of urgency in him, no hidden agenda. "Why aren't we driving?" I asked finally. He looked over at me with a small smile. "Because I think you're scared. And if I were you, I'd be scared too." That answer hit me in the chest. He was right. I was terrified, not just of him, but of everything. The job I didn't get. The town I wanted to escape. The life that felt like it was going nowhere. Josh didn't ask any more questions. He just turned on the radio, kept the volume low, and let the music fill the silence. After a few more minutes, he reached into the back seat and pulled out a soft blanket. "You can rest if you want. I'm not going anywhere until you feel safe." I didn't respond, but I took the blanket. It smelled like cedarwood and fresh air. I leaned against the door and closed my eyes, listening to the gentle hum of the engine and the soft chords of a country song I didn't recognize. It wasn't sleep that came, but something close. A sense of stillness. Of quiet understanding. After what felt like an hour, I opened my eyes. Josh was still there, still reclined in his seat, eyes closed. He didn't look at me when he spoke. "Tell me about it," he said softly. "About what?" Whatever it is that's making you look like the world's about to fall apart. I was quiet for a long time. But then the words came, halting at first, then faster. I told him about my dad leaving when I was 10. About my mom working 3 jobs. About how I had to babysit my little brother while trying to keep up with school. How I got into college but couldn't afford it. How this interview was supposed to be my shot at something better, and now it was just another dead end. Josh listened without interrupting. When I finally stopped, he looked over and said, "You know, I've met a lot of people on the road. Most just want to get from point A to B. But every now and then, you meet someone who's stuck between where they were and where they're meant to be." "Which one am I?" I asked. "You're figuring that out. But you're closer than you think." His words sat with me longer than I expected. We kept talking about music, food, movies. He told me about growing up in a small town in Texas, about how he drove trucks now because he liked the quiet. No pressure, no noise, just the road. At some point, I noticed the clock on the dashboard. It was almost midnight. Still, he hadn't asked me to get out or pressured me to go anywhere. "I should probably get home," I said quietly. "Where's home?" "About 40 minutes from here. In Fairview." He nodded, then started the engine. "You sure you're ready now?" I looked at him and gave a small, genuine smile. "Yeah, I think I am." The drive was quiet, but this time it wasn't awkward. It was peaceful. Josh stayed on well-lit roads, pointed out landmarks, and never once tried to get personal again. When we pulled up to my street, he stopped a few houses down. "Didn't want to spook anyone," he said with a wink. I laughed, then hesitated with my hand on the door handle. "Thank you," I said. "For not making it weird. For waiting." He nodded once. "Just be good to yourself, Melissa. The world's rough enough without you being hard on yourself too." I climbed out and closed the door. As I turned to walk away, he called out one last time. "You'll find your road. Trust it." The truck pulled away into the darkness, its taillights fading like the end of a dream. I stood there for a minute, just breathing in the cool night air. I never saw Josh Whitman again. But that night stayed with me. Not because I got into a stranger's truck, but because, for the first time in a long time, I felt seen, heard, and safe. Sometimes, the road doesn't take you where you think it will. Sometimes, it just gives you a place to pause. And in that pause, you find clarity. That night, we didn't drive. But I still moved forward.